But allow me to, before I exit, to mention something about the stage-based pathway. Remember, all that I have mentioned was basically about the age-based pathway. We had the Kenya Pre-Vocational Learning Education Assessment, and this, for the first cohort that did the assessment in 2025, we had these learners with disabilities under the stage-based assessment, and 2,041 of them were registered, and 1,699 of them participated in 248 centers. Allow me to just mention, for the sake of someone who may not understand this, that whereas we register them, for these learners at the stage-based pathway, we only give them the assessments when they are ready. So they may be registered, but they are not given the assessment because they are not ready. That's why you see that disparity between those registered and those who participated. And from the assessment, we had strong outcomes in hands-on vocational and lower outcomes in foundational and integrated competencies requiring abstraction and functional literacy. So this is food for thought for even those of us who are making these assessments and those of us who are attending to the administration. So most learners are performing at meeting expectation across the 5 assessed papers. So the takeaway from this is that we need to integrate strengthen integrated skills, socio-emotional learning, and system support for equitable participation. So I think on that note, I can call my colleague Eva to now proceed and make some presentation on the large-scale assessments.
Allow me to break protocol by tying myself to the protocol that has already been established and allow us to watch a short clip that already is available for us to talk to us. I represent the team that comes from the National Assessment Center. We do sample-based assessments that enable us to monitor the quality of education that our citizens are accessing. It is important that our citizens get to know whether we are giving them quality education or not. So I welcome the media team to present. Oh, I thank God for sign language. The clip that you're going to be listening to shortly will be capturing key aspects that policymakers need to consider when they are confronted with data, and what it is that we need to put into consideration so as to ensure the data is of quality and it is speaking to the policy decisions that will be impacting the lives of the students as they come on board. Kenya monitors the education system at different tiers of the basic education framework. We monitor at the level at which the students should be able to enter grade 1 through readinessness that we check using KISRAT, and I'm hoping something is going to be coming on board soon based on the discussions that were held in Mombasa. We monitor at grade 3 level where we get to know how are our lower primary doing. Yes. So allow the media team to proceed.
I visited a school and you could see students.
Okay, they're still having a challenge. So we also monitor at grade 6 at the end of primary, whereby we get to know how the end of primary is doing. We monitor at grade 8 and at grade 11. We do not have the data for grade 11 yet, and that needs to be coming soon. So I allow them to take over.
If I'm sitting at their desk, some curiosity, some with a bit of frustration on their face. They had the textbooks, a patient teacher. But what were they actually learning? And will it be enough for the world they're about to enter? That was much harder to see in that moment. And that's why it's so important what Kenya has just accomplished. So let me begin by congratulating Kenya to the successful implementation of PISA 25. Because, make no mistake, PISA is not just a technical exercise. Delivering a complex, computer-based international assessment takes a lot of coordination, a lot of capacity, a lot of commitment at every level of the system, every step on the way. But more importantly, it takes courage. Because PISA is not just about collecting data, it's about holding up a mirror. And you know, what that mirror shows us is not always comfortable, but it's necessary. Because here's the big shift of our time. We have largely solved the problem of access to schooling. Across the world, more young people are in classrooms than ever before in human history. And yet, too many leave those classrooms without the skills to navigate a world that is more complex, more digital, more interconnected than anything you've ever seen. So the goalposts have changed. It's no longer about schooling. It's no longer about accumulating content knowledge. Now, this world no longer rewards people just for what they know. ChatGPT knows everything. The new world rewards people for what they can do with what they know. And here's the hard truth that comes with that shift. What we do not measure, we cannot improve. PISA helps us see learning not as some, vague aspiration, but as something concrete. It shows us whether not just learn from this and use and apply their knowledge creatively in new situations. Whether they can think critically, whether they can solve complex problems. Something else, something even more powerful. It breaks some myths. For decades we told ourselves a very comforting story. That education belongs to the wealthy countries and others can simply to catch up slowly, if at all. And PISA has shattered that story. Look at Brazil, look at Peru, especially for their most disadvantaged students. So what does that tell us? It tells us that success in education is not written in a country's income level. This world is no longer divided between rich and well-educated countries and poor and badly educated ones. Success is written by the choices of countries, their policies, their priorities, and above all, its persistence.